Keelan woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today."
Keelan tells me in the car that I have to do what I do for Jeffrey for Prince Andrew.
I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. If something happens to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away.
Just 24 hours after Virginia appeared on camera and spoke those words openly, she was gone. In the draft she had been working on, the version filled with names, dates, places, and financial dealings she had carefully documented over months vanished with her. But here's the part no one is putting together. Before diving into what happened to Virginia, before examining the missing sections, the strange timing, and the individuals who suddenly left the country, we need to fully grasp what she was actually revealing. Because her account wasn't unclear. It wasn't profile or generic. It was detailed in a way that made highly influential and well-protected figures deeply uneasy. Virginia wasn't talking about emotions. She wasn't giving a loose summary based on distant memories. She was recounting specific mornings. Exact mornings when Ghislaine Maxwell would wake her and give her instructions like a planned schedule, outlining who she would meet, where she needed to go, and what she would be expected to do once she arrived there.
I was so young. Keelan woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be to that prince.
Consider the full weight behind that statement for a moment. She didn't wake up that day aware of what was going to happen to her. She was only 17 years old, and her time was being arranged the same way you'd set up a meeting, like blocking out slots in a calendar. Ghislaine Maxwell, who publicly presented herself as a socialite, an advocate for ocean conservation, a highly connected and cultured figure, was, based on Virginia's account, operating as a coordinator of logistics, a handler, someone directing the movements of young girls the way a property manager organizes appointments. And the prince she was about to encounter, she didn't avoid naming him. She didn't refer vaguely to a royal or someone tied to the palace. She identified him directly, clearly, and on camera.
That night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together."
She outlined the location. She detailed the exact area within that place. She mentioned what she was having to drink. She explained who made the first move. This isn't the account of someone piecing together a narrative. This is the account of someone who went through it and has held onto those precise details for years. And here's the part many people overlook when they talk about Virginia's interview. The moment she spoke about leaving that club, because what unfolded during that car ride back is where the entire operation Epstein was running becomes clear.
And Keelan said he's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein.
There it is. The entire system exposed within one sentence. Not suggested, not assumed, clearly stated by the woman overseeing the operation. This is how everything functioned. This was the exchange. And based on Virginia's account, this wasn't a one-off situation. This was an organized network. It had structure. It had people involved. It had its own language. And it followed a chain of command. Now, here's what most people wonder when they first hear testimony like Virginia's. Why didn't she leave? Why didn't she report it to the police right away? And the answer to that question uncovers something deeply unsettling about how these kinds of systems actually operate. Because it wasn't physical restraint that kept Virginia inside the network, at least not mainly. It was something far more strategic than that. Something designed to make escape feel impossible without ever needing to lay a hand on anyone. Jeffrey Epstein told her outright that the Palm Beach Police Department was under his control. Not suggested, not hinted at it.
Jeffrey Epstein tells me he owns the Palm Beach Police Department. And I can't remember when he tells me this again, but he told me, "I know where your little brother goes to school." So, I mean, like, when you talk about psychological fear, it's not like they put a gun to my head and said, "Do this or die." It was these invisible chains that I talk about that kept you complacent, kept you there.
Your brother's school That's the detail meant to make you freeze, because that isn't some vague warning. That's a man pointing out to a teenage girl exactly where her family is exposed. And he's doing it calmly, intentionally, as a clear reminder of who controls the power in that situation. And these weren't isolated incidents of intimidation. According to Virginia, this was a repeated method, a system. The threats resurfaced every time there was even a suggestion that someone might step out of line. And they weren't limited to just Virginia. They were directed at multiple individuals within the network. This is how you create a prison without physical walls. You convince people there's nowhere to escape, that the system itself is compromised, that even if they tried to speak out, no one would hear them. And the attempt alone would cost them everything. The second transcript reveals the other side of the situation, because while Virginia was being kept inside through psychological pressure, the outside world was being presented with a completely different story, different narrative.
It took a lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on, hairstylists. I mean, the list goes on. I could keep going on and on and on. Drivers, chauffeurs, butlers, housemaids. It took all of these people turning a blind eye.
Let that sink in for a moment. Doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, hairdressers, drivers, housemaids. The list keeps going. This wasn't a hidden operation managed by just a couple of people in the dark. This was an open system supported by dozens of professionals who took their salaries, saw exactly what was unfolding, and chose to stay silent. And Virginia was aware of it. She stated it clearly. She was right there in plain view in front of them. She wasn't concealed. She wasn't some hidden secret being carefully covered up. She was visible, and everyone who had the chance to speak up didn't. For years, Virginia followed what the system expected from her. She remained silent. She tried to keep her family safe. She attempted to build a normal life. But eventually, she reached a point where staying quiet felt more dangerous than speaking out. And when she made that choice, she didn't just agree to one interview. She chose to document everything. The book went through 2 titles during its development. First, The Billionaire's Playboy Club. Then she revised it into Nobody's Girl. From those titles alone, you can tell what kind of document this was. It wasn't a memoir in a gentle, reflective sense. It was a record, a structured account of names, dates, places, specific individuals, specific actions, specific transactions. According to her co-writer, the content was detailed enough that it could have acted as a roadmap for investigators, for journalists, for anyone trying to follow the exact structure of what Epstein's network had done. Part of it was made public, because the rest, the pages that described the encounter she hadn't yet named publicly, the sections that went further than anything she had said on camera, those disappeared at almost the same time Virginia did. And here's the timeline that should weigh heavily on you right now. Virginia gave her final interview. Within 24 hours, she was found dead. And within that same period, key portions of her manuscript vanished from the possession of those who held them.
Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent victim of the late convicted Jeffrey Epstein, took her own life on Thursday. This is just weeks after she made headlines for saying that she had days to live after she claimed to have been hit by a bus.
Struck by a bus just weeks before her death. And even before that incident, she had already stated publicly that she was not suicidal. She had informed her therapist. She had told her general practitioner. She had made it part of the record because she fully understood how exposed she was and exactly how it might appear if something were to happen to her.
I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, for the sake of my family, do not let this go away. Too many evil people want to see me quieted.
She wrote in writing. She shared it publicly. She identified her therapist. She identified her GP. She was creating a documented trail in real time because she understood the danger was real. And then she was gone. And the manuscript disappeared. And now we're left examining a book missing its most critical sections, trying to reconstruct what Virginia knew from whatever pieces were left behind. If Virginia had been the only one this happened to, if she were the sole person who tried to speak and ended up dead while her evidence vanished, you might call it a tragedy. A terrible, isolated tragedy. But she wasn't the only one. Because the pattern surrounding Virginia's death, the speaking out, the sudden silence, the evidence disappearing at precisely the right time, that pattern has shown up repeatedly along the edges of this story. And it keeps pointing back to the same names, the same industries, the same circles. Consider what happened with Stephen Twitch Boss, who served as the executive producer and DJ of the Ellen DeGeneres show for years. This was someone who stood on that set every day, who witnessed what went on behind the scenes, who was close enough to understand what the show was truly operating as. He began to unravel. According to reports that circulated in various forms and leaked direct messages before his death, Twitch had allegedly left behind recordings and written notes detailing what he had seen. Material that described influential figures involved in disturbing realities that sharply conflicted with the public-facing image of the show he helped build for over a decade. And shortly before his death, he reportedly posted a cryptic message on social media, one that only made sense if you understood a specific coded language that had been appearing repeatedly in Jeffrey Epstein's documented communications.
On Tuesday morning, he had not checked out. Checkout time was 11 a.m. So management went to knock on the door around 11:15, and it was then that a housekeeper discovered his body in the room.
Discovered in a motel room, having registered under his own name, after putting his phone on airplane mode so no one could contact him. His note, based on reports, referenced struggles he had been dealing with, but the exact contents of that note were never fully released to the public. The voice message he was said to have recorded, the one that reportedly outlined what he had seen and heard during his years within the Ellen DeGeneres show environment. That message, like Virginia's manuscript, has never been made public. The pieces that could reveal the most are repeatedly the ones that vanish, and the individuals closest to those pieces are repeatedly the ones who end up gone.
He was going through so much, and he was hiding so much, and there must have been a lot of shame in that, and he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone.
That's the public narrative, the version where everything is presented as personal struggle, inner darkness, private pain. And maybe some of that holds truth, but when you place it alongside the fact that the one recording he allegedly created with the most damaging information never made it to the public, that narrative begins to feel incomplete. Virginia warned us clearly and publicly. She said, "Too many evil people want to see me silenced." And then she was silenced. Twitch reportedly tried to send a signal, and then that signal was cut off. This is the pattern, and it's not subtle. It has been repeating for years right in front of us. Let's return to the testimony itself, because in the rush to focus on what happened to Virginia, we sometimes overlook the specifics of what she was actually saying. And what she described was deeply disturbing in ways that go beyond the headline. She outlined a network that wasn't centered on just one man. She made it clear repeatedly that Epstein was only the visible face of something far larger, that he functioned within systems of power, legal, political, social, financial, that acted as a protective barrier, that multiple industries were fueling this operation. According to another victim, Marina Lara, the government is still holding documents that could close critical gaps. Even now, the very documents survivors need, not only to build legal cases, but to understand what was done to them. Think about what that implies. A survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking network is telling us that the government holds records detailing what was done to her, records she herself cannot access. The files exist. They are being kept, and the people who need them the most are the ones who cannot reach them. Another survivor described the conditions on Epstein's island in terms that make the private jet, the luxury estates, the celebrity associations, all of it, feel like a surface layer over something entirely different underneath.
I have spent the last 17 years in my own prison for what Jeffrey, and all the co-conspirators did to me. I was raped repeatedly. I was raped 3 times a day sometimes. And I was not the only girl on that island. There was a constant stream of girls being over and over and over again. And yes, Ghislaine must be in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years.
And 27 for me.
I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being raped. I was 10. That is how long this trafficking ring has been going.
She was ready to risk her life swimming away rather than remain on that island for even one more night. That's the truth beneath the polished image Jeffrey Epstein showed to the world. And Virginia Giuffre was exposing that same reality publicly, on camera, with specific names in a way that would have formed the backbone of her book. A book that would have organized and documented everything in a way that could never be undone. And then it disappeared. And then she disappeared. It's gone.
I want to start by saying it's not how Jeffrey died, but it's how he lived. And we need to get to the bottom of everybody who was involved with that.
That's what Virginia expressed. Not the way he died, but the way he lived. She understood more clearly than almost anyone outside that network that Epstein's death didn't close the story. That the real story was the decades of activity, the people who supported it, the people who took part in it, the people who concealed it, and she was assembling that case piece by piece, interview by interview, chapter by chapter, until she no longer could. Here's what makes all of this hit differently now than it would have even a few years ago. Because we are no longer in a time of guessing about what the Epstein files contain. The release of those documents, the flight logs, the internal emails, the unfiltered investigative records, that process has already been set in motion. And what's being revealed is confirming what people like Virginia spent years trying to make the world understand. The emails reveal a man deeply connected within entertainment, fashion, academia, and political networks who used coded language in professional exchanges, who described his island in writing as an aquarium filled with girls, who was openly discussing his own crimes in emails 7 months before his arrest with colleagues. He wrote that himself, willingly, about his own actions, 7 months before being arrested. That is not how someone behaves if they believe they are in real danger. That is how someone acts when they are completely confident that the system around them will continue shielding them. And for a long time, it did. But the files are being released. The names are surfacing. And the individuals who knew their names were included in those documents didn't wait to see what would happen once they came out. They acted physically. The exit of prominent figures from the United States, individuals whose names appear within the broader network of Epstein-related documents, started almost immediately after the document release timeline was announced. Not after elections, not due to shifts in political climate. Before any of that became clear, the arrangements were already underway.
Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, have reportedly fled the US bound for the UK after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation.
The election, that's the narrative being pushed. But individuals who operate within those circles, people connected to the deeper structure of the entertainment industry, have confirmed that these departures had been planned for up to a year before anyone had any idea what the election outcome would be. The timing of the document releases, the timing of those exits, the timing of Virginia's death, the timing of the manuscript going missing, none of this points to coincidence when everything is aligned on the same timeline. Virginia sat in front of a camera and recounted the morning Ghislaine Maxwell woke her and told her she would be meeting a prince. She described the drive where she was instructed on what would be expected of her. She described the VIP area, the drinks, the dance floor. Yet she described returning to the house and what took place there. She shared all of that because she believed that the truth, if spoken clearly enough, publicly enough, with enough precise detail, would finally have an impact. And 24 hours later, she was gone. Her manuscript was unfinished in the sections that would have caused the most damage. The voice of someone who attempted to speak from inside that system reportedly never reached the public. And the individuals who knew their names were within those files, listed their homes for sale, and quietly vanished across the ocean. Virginia told us exactly what she witnessed. She gave us the names. She gave us the locations. She explained how it operated, who controlled it, and what it cost to know all of it. The question that remains, the one that no one in any position of authority seems eager to answer, is straightforward. Who ensured she wouldn't be able to tell us anything further? More.
They've been accused by a multitude of women of a multitude of wrongdoings, and nothing has happened to any of them.
Nothing. No, not at this point. But the documents are out there. The names are included in them. And Virginia ensured, even if it meant losing everything, that the world heard her voice before it could be silenced. If you believe she deserved more than this, that all of them deserved more, then the least you can do is make sure her words aren't buried again. Like this video, share it, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because this story isn't finished, not even close.